following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello, I'm Carl Seidel, host of The People's View. The People's View is a show sponsored by the Nashua Republican City Committee. The committee meets every second Thursday at the Crown Plaza. And if you want to contact us, we have a website, nashuagop.org. And at the end of the show, you'll see some contact phone numbers or email addresses that you may want to send us your comments and recommendations. Thank you for listening in.
Welcome to The People's View, a program dedicated to discussing local, state, and national issues and their effect on the American people. The People's View provides a platform for state representatives and national figures to present their viewpoint. Whether it's social, economic, or financial topics, you'll hear it on The People's View.
Hello, and today our guest is Dennis Hogan. Dennis is running for county attorney. Dennis, you've been a county attorney in 2010 to 2012, and now...
Right. Well, I actually started up January 2011, right?
Well,
Two full years.
And how do you like that?
Well, you know, coming out of it, I've gained a lot of confidence. So in my private practice right now, I'm a much more confident attorney. So it was actually kind of
Going from a single attorney to one that handled how many other attorneys?
There's 20 in the office, and it was a lot of fun to go into that office, and I learned a lot, and I brought that out with me. And now seeing the office from the outside, I think I've learned some more things that I'll be able to bring in.
So you already have ideas of things that you want to do?
Well, yeah, I mean, with the government, I'm always thinking, you know, you want to keep it focused, fair, and frugal. You know, they kind of, those three F's kind of work together, but you know, if you lose your focus, you're not going to do the job as well. So, you know, when I went in there, and what I would do going back is continue to focus on, look, what's the job? Do the right thing. Get the right people in here to do it. Don't worry about, you know, making friends with, you know, people by, you know, who you've assigned, that sort of thing. Just get in there and do the right thing.
So what did you change in your first term?
Well, you know, there were some people that were not equipped really to be there. And by having those people leave, I mean, we're talking about people that would fall asleep in a meeting, would not keep a calendar, would claim that they were working on a Friday but not actually be there. And even somebody who had a criminal record. So, you know, by replacing those people and bringing people in who were better, I think we got a much better product. And you know, that's the kind of focus I would continue to bring as the leader of that organization. Because, you know, when it comes to leadership, whether it's coaching basketball, which I do, or leading a whole group of attorneys, the most important thing you're going to have is, who do you bring on the team? Because the team is going to get the work done.
That's right.
I mean, you know, you set the parameters for what they're going to do, but, you know, essentially the team's going to get it done.
So you were able to shape up a better team, and it did well. And I know you had a very tough time with the budget problem. Because we did that for the whole county. Right.
You were in the county delegation, and the county told me basically over the 2 years, reduce your budget by 8%. Now my opponent criticizes me for not screaming loud enough that, you know, we can't do that, or, you know, I should have fought harder, this sort of thing. But instead, I put my focus on, all right, well, how do we go about doing that? And it's really not rocket science. It's kind of what I explained to you already. Better people brought in for less money were able to do more work for less. So, yeah, that's...
so is the budget still a problem now at the county level?
Well, you know, I haven't looked at the approved budget, but looking at the proposed budget, I'm just astonished that the present county attorney actually tried to increase the amount of personnel by what amounts to almost 20%. 7 people added onto a 40. I know, that's huge. Basically trying to create a whole new unit. And, you know, the county attorney's office has had a bad experience in attempting to create a unit that was away from its focus. First of all, let's jump back for a second and talk about what is the focus of the county attorney's office. The county attorney's office prosecutes the felonies in the superior courts. That's what it does. And it also takes some misdemeanor appeals and prosecutes them as well. This, in the past, before I got to be county attorney, they had lost some focus by bringing in this unit that was going to help people coming out of the prison to re-enter society. Whole different unit, completely separate from the county attorney's function. Eventually, they decided that wasn't a good idea, and people were laid off. When I got there and was doing my budget, we were still dealing with the amount of insurance increase for unemployment insurance, because they had this big claim for unemployment.
Sure.
So it was still affecting my budget years later. So for the county attorney now to propose another increase like that, where you're going to have some kind of new unit for drug investigations or what have you, I think it's losing focus. We already have investigative departments throughout the county. The important thing is to work with the other people in the county. There's other departments doing their thing. And again, that's one of the criticisms I've had of the present county attorney, not working with department heads, particularly the Chief Justice. Well, is it the Chief Justice? Well, the administrative Chief Justice of the Superior Court wanted to streamline things, wanted to have a sort of a test program in one of the counties. Asked to do it in Hillsborough, but our county attorney didn't want any part of it. So they had to take that program and try it in another county. I'm much more cooperative than that. Believe me, if you're looking for a way to be more efficient, which it means saving money, sign me up. I'm about frugality. Everybody who knows me knows that.
So you think that might come into play during this next term?
Well, I think it's probably, it depends on the success, obviously, of the other county. I think they are finding success in it, and I think they'll probably be looking to move that into our county. So.
Is there any difficulties with the fact that your team is split up between Manchester and Nashua?
It certainly makes it interesting. I mean, so the county attorney has first assistants, one in Manchester, one in Nashua. And so that's, I mean, you add an additional layer of administration, I suppose, which is necessary because we call Hillsborough one county. I talk a lot with people about what the county attorney's office is, and it's basically district attorney. And I can't help but wonder, and I don't know the history, but I imagine places that still have counties decided on districts instead of counties so that they could proportion them and give a district sort of each district about the same amount of people living in it, so there's about the same amount of work. That's not the case in New Hampshire. We call them county attorneys and have since the beginning of the Constitution, but they do vastly different things. Coos County has just a handful of assistants. And then we have Hillsborough, which has 20 assistants. So it's a very, very different job. I mean, the Coos County attorney has as many files as his assistants to go into court each day. It's a very different task. Whereas you can't be going into court every day. When you have to be the administrator of that big an organization. So that makes it different. So I mean, that kind of has nothing to do with running for office, but it is something.
Well, it's what you're going to do, and too, how you feel comfortable, and how you already have ideas. You've done things already with the group.
Well, as I like to tell people when I'm talking to them, on the campaign trail, with the 2 years that I did the job, I did a great job. Sometimes they giggle at that because I'm just being so forward. But then I say, I did a great job because there was nothing about me in the press. And that's really the punchline, because it's so true.
That is.
People know that if you screw up, it's going to be headline news. There's no headline news what I did. I just focused on doing the job the right way, and that's all we did. And we did it the right way, and we got it done the right way.
Good. And hopefully you'll be reelected and get
thanks.
Get into there and control the amount of growth in there.
Right. Hey, the first thing you got to do to save money is want to save money.
Yeah.
You got to try.
Yeah. Well, did you see anything that needed to be improved as far as the format of the way the lawyers handle these prosecutions? Well, my attitude was that each person is going to kind of take their file and do it their way, not to micromanage it. There was a different program, a different way of doing things in, well, when I got there, actually, there was a specific edict that you never had two people on a file.
But so I allowed that to change. And it was a discussion thing. It wasn't like I came up with the idea. We talked about it because it had been done in the past. And I think it's useful because a more experienced attorney can bring on a less experienced attorney, have them do some work so that they're helping that more experienced attorney with some guidance. So you get both of them benefit. The more experienced attorney ends up with sort of an assistant, and the less experienced attorney gets more experience so that later on they can handle those things maybe on their own if they have to. So yeah, I did do some things to change what was going on there at the time. I also looked at, but didn't do what they did in Rockingham, which is to keep people very pigeonholed in that they are given a certain type of file and not expected to do anything more serious. Just do that, do that, do that. And then after a while, you can move up to another level and then another level. I was more of the attitude of give them what work they can handle as they develop that ability. And that gives them the thought all the time that they're growing, growing, growing. To me, we're all attorneys. We went to law school to do interesting things. We never want anything to be rote. I mean, that's why we spent the 3 extra years in school, because we wanted to go beyond something that just felt like being a clerk. And so yeah, that was my attitude. It was a bit different. I didn't even think of it being different until you asked the question, to be honest.
Well, I think from the receiving end, you'd want to have some variety in your job.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree with that. And surprisingly, that's not always the mentality when people are dishing out work. But that is my idea.
That's your approach, and it seemed to work. Yeah. And do you? How about these new courts? I guess I don't know if you call them the mental health court or the drug courts.
Right.
How's that working?
Well, the mental health court was there before I got there. In fact, that was part of a big controversy before I got there, in that the county attorney before me tried to squeeze something into the mental health court that really didn't belong there. It was a violent crime, and they're not supposed to be for violent crimes. And that was a big problem. Check out my website for a video on the women that affected and how I helped them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So your website is what?
Hogan for countyattorney.com. You can also see me on Dennis Hogan for County Attorney on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
And you can link up to that. It's a 1.5 minute video.
So there's a story there.
Right. Yeah, my son's produced a video that is very, very well done for certainly for sons. It's extremely well done. But they're good at that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the mental health court is actually for very sort of minor, misdemeanor type crimes where somebody's doing, I don't even want to say something because it's kind of graphic and gross, but you do something graphic and gross in the city street and you get arrested for it, and people, it's clear that this is a mental health issue.
Yeah.
So that person, instead of just being put in jail after the third time or something like that, or having the punishment get more and more extreme, right, or increasing, that person is sent to mental health care and then has to come back and report to the judge very often about how the mental health care is going. So it really, it's the purpose is to keep people who are in the system who have mental health problems from constantly coming back because they're not dealing with that problem. Great idea. And once I was there, I started making sure we executed it right, went to the monthly meetings to really reinforce that I was behind that. And it has been working well as far as anyone has said.
Very good. Yeah, I've heard stories of it, and I've known of instances where people really, truly, they didn't deserve, being incarcerated isn't going to help them at all.
Right, exactly. Now, Stratham County has gone and gotten ahead, and so has Rockingham, with a drug court, which the judges wanted to start when I was there, and I was all in for that. I did as much as I could to help in the waning months, actually, of my term. So they've gotten it up and running. Now I'm just reading about it in the newspaper. It seems that it is up and running. But what I understand of it is that it's only for people who are getting into trouble because they have a real serious drug problem. So it's not a matter of, I'm selling drugs and making a business out of it, and I want to go and get lenient treatment, so I go to the drug court. That's not what it's about. And a lot of times people fear that. It's for somebody who is just ruining their life with drugs, really needs to get off the drugs, and is causing, crime.
So make sure you go to treatment and don't get put in
so then
jail.
They bring them back, right? And they have all sorts of markers for their improvement, and they have to take a drug test when they come in each time, and they have to, you know, admit to the things
Well,
that
that
they've
sounds
done.
like it's something reasonable.
It's absolutely reasonable. And you know, the only resistance in doing any of these things is it's taking resources and saying we're going to do something else with these resources. And of course, when you're looking at a system that's over capacity already, people can be a little resistant to that. But you know, when you realize that these are the people that are really creating most of the research. I mean, think your average crime is probably a young person doing something foolish that they'll never do again. I mean, if you go to the district court and you watch the people who are coming in, that's generally what you're getting. So
It sounds like your
but
experience.
then there's those people who keep going in, and these two programs are fine. They're working because they're taking the people who keep coming back and saying, let's get something else to happen with these people. So
So it sounds like your experience is just what's needed for somebody to
well,
run
I like to say, you want experience of somebody in the office? Fine, I've got it. I've already shown you I've done. You want experience from somebody outside the office? You know what? I've got that too, in a very broad experience, not just in criminal matters, but in matters, you know, of civil cases and of course on the other side being the criminal.
Well, how people contact you if you want to help? They want to help at the polls or whatever?
Well, like I said, you can go to hoganforcountyattorney.com. My contact information is there. You can just get me on Facebook. I have two sites, one Hogan for County Attorney site and one just me. So, yeah, that's how they can do it. And, you know, I can always use the help for whatever.
Very good.
We go door to door. We
Well,
hold signs.
our
and all
audience
that
will help you, I'm sure.
Great, great.
Sure. Thank
Happy to see
you,
'em.
Dennis, for appearing here with
welcome.
me, and this will be something that we can show just before the primary.
Great. Thank you very
Okay?
much.
Thank you for attending.
Oh.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.